Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Bitso, Ripple's xRapid exchange partner based in Mexico, has been seeing their volume go up quite steadily. But to state it like that, it's tantamount to using a euphemism because I'm going to show you the chart below, but it's up a lot. It's up relative to where it was. And I've also got the latest charts for you regarding remittances, and does MoneyGram have an effect on that to date? And I will be sharing that information with you. And I'll wrap up the video by covering an article from AMB Crypto about Grayscale, who's recording that their Bitcoin investments have seen returns of 2,000%. Before we get going, though, if you would please delicately tap the like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. You're gonna love it here, probably. All right, so here's a piece from dailyhodl.com, and it is titled, Ripple onboards 20 xRapid customers as traders track rising XRP volume. Now, I'm not going to cover the first piece of this article. I've covered this data a couple times recently, but it just has to do with the fact that Ripple has publicly noted, a Ripple employee has publicly noted that they have over 20 xRapid partners, and Ashish Burla recently has also stated that they got their hands full with xRapid partners, which is a bullish statement if you ever heard one, right? So let me move down here, though, and talk about exchange volume. As you know, the quarters that Ripple's focusing on right now for remittances, the two quarters where they want to use xRapid and thus XRP as a bridge currency for cross-border payments, it's quarters that they're calling low-hanging fruit, but it's to Mexico from the U.S. and to the Philippines from the United States. And the piece that I want to talk to you about, the corridor I want to talk to you about, is the Mexico corridor, where Bitso is the xRapid exchange partner enabled by Ripple. And so the piece reads here, XRP enthusiasts are reading the tea leaves to try and determine where xRapid is being used. Twitter's Tenatoshi is tracking rising XRP volume on the Mexico-based crypto exchange Bitso, which is one of 4 exchanges that have signed up to accept fiat from financial institutions and execute xRapid transactions. And here's the tweet from Tenatoshi. And he writes, since the partnership with MoneyGram, the XRP market in Bitso, in Mexico, has been steadily growing. This implies the increase in xRapid payment volume. It will also attract more market makers to the market and let them buy XRP. So you can kind of see where they are. And they do note right here where this little arrow is where I'm circling, that's when the MoneyGram partnership happened. So I'm not going to claim that the increased volume is explicitly because of MoneyGram. I don't know that there's data to show that. It's fun to put it on a chart, but you can see not long after things really started to increase here. And so, of course, the question reasonably arises, is this because of xRapid? Well, as far as MoneyGram, we know that they announced that it was very recently, within the last week or so, that MoneyGram began utilizing xRapid technology. So prior to that, there should have been zero volume, even though the partnership had been announced however long ago was it? Weeks prior. I can't remember exactly. It doesn't matter. But that means that the volume here, again, shouldn't have anything to do with that, but positive nonetheless. I'll tell you what, any exchange out there, any crypto exchange that is partnered with Ripple's xRapid technology, I want to see them doing well, because the greater the pool of liquidity, the more transaction flows they can handle, because it requires, in order for xRapid to work, it requires a sufficient blend of price and liquidity. And with numbers going up like this, I think things are heading in the right direction. And then the piece continues. In its Q2 XRP markets report, Ripple reported a 170% rise in xRapid volume over the previous quarter. And here's a quote from the report. Q2 saw the highest number of customer transactions on RippleNet. In fact, the number of xRapid transactions increased 170% from Q1 to Q2, and Ripple had a 30% increase in the number of live xRapid partners in the second quarter. Ripple anticipates this momentum in transaction volume to continue as more partners and customers go live. And so it's not surprising that we got that tweet the other day from Ashish Burla. He's one of the senior vice presidents at Ripple. And he said, yeah, we've got our hands full. That is what he said. We got our hands, quote, full with xRapid customers. And I think that's the coolest thing. And then the piece continues here. So far, Burla says xRapid is up and running in 2 countries with more in the works. So again, that would be Mexico and the Philippines. Here's the quote. It's available today in Mexico and the Philippines. So far, the positive responses from our customers in those two countries have been overwhelming. But we are working on the next set of destinations, which we will be announcing in hopefully short order here. And so, the reason that I absolutely love this is because fundamentally from an investment perspective, as I'm going to regularly say, especially as there are a whole lot of new listeners on the Moon Lambo channel, not everybody watches every video, but this is an important point. The reason that this ecosystem works, and this isn't, I could talk about that for like an hour, but part of it that I want to mention here, part of the reason that the XRP will have staying power is because it's actually being used in the real world. That gives investors confidence that it's going to have staying power. That's why I'm happy to put my money into it here. And so when you see positive customer reactions with the utilization of xRapid and these institutions, they don't even have to hold XRP. The exchanges do, but the banks, remittance companies, financial institutions on one end or the other, they don't even have to hold XRP, and they're thrilled about it. That's going to bode well for the entire ecosystem over time here. And so I think that's fantastic. And here's the actual tweet on Twitter from Tenetoshi. And I don't think there's too much in the comment section that I wanted to point out, but it did lead me to double check with Galvatron today because I saw that he posted, I think it was last night, that he was going to be posting the latest XRP charts in terms of remittances, especially in light of what Tenetoshi said with the volume going up on Bitso ever since the Mexican exchange, the volume on the Mexican exchange increasing ever since MoneyGram announced the partnership. So, and again, I don't think that that's related, but kind of triggered Galvatron, it looks like, to update charts as a result of just kind of check in and see what's going here. And here is Galvatron's latest tweet on this. And he writes, latest charts. Whatever MoneyGram may be doing, it's not significant overall in the ledger, but that's not to downplay their progress. It's to highlight that it will be a long, slow path to adoption. And that's perfectly fine. Now, mind you, I reported on this when MoneyGram had their second quarter earnings call. Alex Holmes, the CEO of MoneyGram, stated that although xRapid is officially live, MoneyGram is using it, it's a slow rollout. And they really don't expect to see this impact the bottom line in any meaningful way until the fourth quarter. And they were really, to be honest, even on the earnings call, they were hush-hush about what their expectations are, and that's by design. And so there's at one point, Alex Holmes, MoneyGram CEO, even said to somebody named, I remember the name Larry, he's like, hey, just kind of be careful about what, I'm paraphrasing, but you don't answer the question, but don't say too much. It was something to that effect anyway. And so we will see more of this, and it will become visible on the ledger at some point. And one of the things that's going to make it easier to track over time is while there is, every transaction that occurs with XRP, it's on the ledger, of course. But not all transactions are taking place on exchanges like Bitso, which is an xRapid-enabled exchange. And so as more market makers come online as liquidity providers, there will be transactions taking place, just again, pools of liquidity where buyers like you and me, speculative buyers, like we're not buying and selling there. We are buying and selling on exchanges, but there will be volume going through that, and it'll be automated because xRapid uses an efficient path-seeking algorithm to route the most efficient payment. So anything going through those pools of liquidity set up by market makers, that's not going to show on exchanges, so you can differentiate between the two. So if there's increased volume on the ledger in a meaningful way that is not occurring on exchanges, that would be evidence that xRapid adoption is increasing. So we're going to continue to watch for that. But guys, I really think it's going to take a long time before you can see that in any meaningful way. Although we see increased adoption of xRapid customers, and that is thrilling, it is neat, mind you, that 170% increase from Q1 to Q2 in terms of adoption that I just cited. That's going to be nothing in the long run. There's going to come a point where if you want to compete in the world of cross-border payments, you're going to need this. You're going to need this because instant settlement matters, and cutting out all these unnecessary layers of human management by using xCurrent and xRapid, it's important. That does matter. And it's going to reach a point as a result where the growth of xRapid adoption will increase at an exponential rate to where if you chart it, it's going to appear parabolic at some point. That's my guess. I don't know what the timeline's going to look like for that. But if you just look at a technology bell curve, that's typically what you see. So I fully anticipate that to occur down here. And so anyway, this is the latest remittance one. He's saying again, you can look at the yellow line. That's one that we always like to look at because it shows remittances between $10 and less than 500 USD. And Galvatron tweeted, I think in this thread, that most remittances typically are somewhere around the $200 mark. I think it was somewhere in here he tweeted that. And that sounds about right, especially for those corridors. Here's another chart I always like to pull up, account openings. Let me ask you this, to you listening, and hopefully it's not many of you, but are any of you freaking out about XRP price? Are concerned about the longevity of XRP as a digital asset because the price has been flat for a while? If you are, let me just point this out. If you look on the screen right now, while you are sitting there worrying, and again, I sympathize if you are, it's not to yell at you, but while you're worrying, this is actual adoption. There have been almost 1.8 million account activations. We're talking about actual wallets here requiring XRP reserves. So while the price is doing what price does because people are in a frenzy, and by and large people are just betting on whether or not the asset class has staying power and to what degree it's going to be transformative to global payments, while this is all happening as a result of just crazy speculative buying and selling, there's genuine adoption of XRP. And you can see it right here in the chart. So this is just another metric to look at and see that. So you can see what I just cited with the adoption of xRapid, that's cited by Ripple. You can see traction in terms of remittances on the XRP ledger. You can kind of track that as well. But meaningful also is the account activation, and you can see that it's been a steady trend up here ever since the current trend line. It looks like what does this go back to? At the beginning of June, let's say. It's been on this particular pace since then. And this part was really ramping up where I'm touching here. That was basically from mid-May when Bitcoin started going nuts again for another few weeks or whatever it was, and then kind of leveled out there. But as there's more excitement around additional parabolic runs, it's not just Bitcoin that's going to see additional adoption. You're going to see this ramp up again too. And so that means that there are more people involved within the ecosystem right here, and that is what we want. There's going to be a lot of people investing in XRP as a store of value, and that's what I'm doing. I mean, what are you doing? Some of you out there listening, I'm sure you're actually using it, but based on recent surveys, we know that's a small percentage. Most people are hoping to use it as a store of value and hopefully actually get returns on it additionally. So I think that's what the vast majority of us are doing. Data shows that 94% of those polled in the recent survey of almost 500, so that's a decent sample size, almost 94% are hodling long term. All right, next piece here. Somebody presumably new to the world of XRP, the glorious world of XRP and Ripple, tweeted this out. Hashtag XRP Community. Please explain this to me. A major U.S. bank has already joined RippleNet using XCurrent for fast cross-border payments. Can they do this without using XRP? And what I loved in reading this, it's such a basic question, but I loved how there were two people willing to give thoughtful responses and help inform somebody that's clearly newer to the XRP community. And I think that's awesome. This is the caliber of people that I see through and through. I mean, you can say any group of people will have their bad apples, and that's true no matter what. I'm sure it's true of XRP community too. But the caliber of the people within the XRP community makes me proud to be a part of it. So here's somebody named Adam who responded, with XCurrent, you still need corresponding Nostro-Vostro accounts in the respective country currency where you are tying up funds. With XRP, you can source that liquidity and convert on demand nearly instantly. And then Kevin Cage here responded, bingo! Hence, xRapid and even XCurrent 4.0 now allows clients to free up the trillions of dormant capital that they'll no longer need for emergencies to pay creditors or clients. With on-demand liquidity, they can all function in real time with a plethora of benefits. And Kevin's a sharp guy. He's I'm sure a lot of you already know and probably listen to him. He's got an XRP-centric YouTube channel also. And if you are unaware of him, you should definitely go check him out. Good stuff, thoughtful guy, rather intelligent. All right, next piece here. This was from CNBC. This was cool. So there's this guy. I haven't heard of him before. His name is Don, I'm going to butcher the last name, Steinbruch. Maybe it's Steinbruch. I don't know. Anyway, he's on the screen right now, and he was speaking on CNBC, and so here's the tweet from CNBC. Bitcoin has been on an amazing run lately. So amazing that one CEO argues it will become part of a lot of hedge funds' portfolios. And so I looked him up, and so again, his name's Don Steinbruch. Again, don't know if I'm saying that right. He is the CEO of Agecroft Partners, which I have on the screen here. And so he founded the company back in 2007, and he's the CEO again, and basically, they're a consulting firm, and they do PR for hedge funds specifically. And he said it's his opinion that Bitcoin is here to stay, and he believes that it is going to be a part of many mini hedge fund portfolios. And this is in line with my thinking and what I've stated on this channel numerous times. I believe that institutional money will come. Hedge funds, that is institutional money, and they invest on their members' behalf, their clients' behalf. And if you just put a little fraction of your entire value into this new burgeoning asset class with the opportunity of asymmetrical returns, even just a few percent, you're talking about, depending on the scale in which institutional investors do this, but eventually you're talking about having a crypto asset class that's valued in the trillions, multi-trillion-dollar market cap. And that's where I think that we're going. And to me, it's always going to be long-term about which cryptocurrencies are actually being adopted by the world. XRP is the only cryptocurrency that's being used in the commercial production of anything, period. That's it. That's absolutely it. And so I think Pomp responded, yeah, he responded, this is smart, great segment. That's Anthony Pompliano, and he's one of the co-founders of Morgan Creek Digital. So they're all about crypto, obviously. And last piece here, and then I'll wrap up the video. This is from AMB Crypto. Grayscale's Bitcoin Investment Trust records a total cumulative return of over 2,000%. Bitcoin recorded a mediocre run over the last 2 months, a period during which the coin's price plummeted from its yearly high of $13,800 to below $9,500. The initial bullish momentum subsided, with stagnation and sideways movement soon taking over the market. Despite this prolonged misery, the largest virtual asset was still enjoying a lucrative year when compared to the beginning of 2019. Alongside Bitcoin, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which acts as a Bitcoin fund exclusively investing in Bitcoin, has also surged significantly since its inception in 2013. And they got a chart right here. I'm not going to read the numbers for you, though. I just want to conceptually get across what they're conveying. According to Grayscale's Performance and Risk Monitor report, GBTC boasted a total annualized return of about 84.4% after accounting for the annualized risk percentage over the same period of time, inception of March 2019. Besides Bitcoin, only Grayscale's ETC Trust reported a positive total return of 7%, while all other virtual assets reported a negative return percentage. However, GBTC's impressive numbers are more comprehensive when the total cumulative return percentage is taken into consideration. GBTC has yielded a growth of 2,721.3% since its introduction, massively outperforming a majority of the virtual asset funds backed by Grayscale. You know, when I read stuff like this, and I think about the tremendous percentage returns even early on in Bitcoin, before XRP really had any traction at all, and I can understand why some people were hesitant to get in, and especially with this brand new technology, brand new asset class, and it wasn't even necessarily being identified as a new asset class back then, even though some people were visionary enough to see the big picture. But I can understand why people could be hesitant to invest, especially back in the day when you're seeing returns like that. That's usually a sign that something is a Ponzi scheme. But that's not the case here. This is actually truly disruptive technology that's going to change the way, ultimately, that money moves around the world. And it's and a lot of people, actually, I didn't mention this, but Don with Agecroft, he was saying that hedge funds are increasingly using Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin is what he cited, as a hedge against inflation. And so it's highly useful, and a lot of people believe that it's a non-correlated asset compared to other asset classes, such as, you can say stocks or whatever. But anyway, piece continues. In similar fashion to Bitcoin, GBTC also outclassed the traditional asset index of 2019, including the likes of S&P 500 and Global Dow. At the start of July, GBTC had recorded a yield of 296% year-to-date appreciation, whereas the aforementioned could only garner 18.7% and 12.9% respectively. And then check this out, the Drop Gold campaign. The growth of GBTC in 2019 can be attributed to the effective Drop Gold campaign led by Barry Silbert, an initiative that promoted the idea of opting for Bitcoin rather than gold as a long-term investment. Silbert believes that despite having immense history and cultural significance, gold does not have the same utility and productiveness as Bitcoin. Bitcoin has the potential to be incredibly valuable, he said. Well, that's it for this video, boys and girls. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!